right now, and welcome to another Who Do You Like TV show. We got
Hi,
a great,
everybody.
we got a great show. We were here
A few weeks ago.
a few weeks ago, I think we did a show. But we got a great, we got Miranda Tiffany, my
Of course.
co-host, and we got a great actor that's here today. You probably know him, Rob Funaro, everybody.
Hi.
Rob Funaro, and we're gonna show some of his clips. We're gonna talk about different things about acting and what's going on with his his life.
Yes.
Future life with the acting world, and
Yes.
it's going to be a great show. So stay tuned, everybody. All right. So Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
Thank
great,
you.
great.
Thank you for inviting me. Hi, Miranda. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah. So
Nice to meet you.
So what's going on? You got some?
We're getting there post-COVID and hoping that the business begins to pick up a little bit in terms of television and film.
Film, yeah.
The auditions are not really coming in, but hopefully when the theater opens up in September,
It'll be.
of course everyone is working on personal things. I'm working on a few things, Zooms, which I don't really truly
Zooms?
like. The Zoom.
What is a Zoom? It's like
Zoom is like you get people together and you do it's like a video. It's like a recorded play reading.
Yeah, it's web chat.
It's
like a
a
web
web
chat,
chat. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. A podcast.
so. There's all
sort
new
of thing.
things that are coming out now.
Well,
with
that's
the,
what
with the
that's
acting
what that's
and
what
stuff,
actors
right?
have been doing. They've been getting
Yep.
together to rehearse plays, and they're kind of like it's not
Yeah.
the same talking into a
No, no.
camera
Right.
and you're talking into a little green dot. You don't get that one-on-one. Like this feels great to be
Right.
with you.
Yeah, yeah.
And Miranda live. I feel like
I tell you,
I'm
we're very privileged tonight to be with a great. I mean, I'm not
thank
saying
you.
it because he's here with us, Miranda, but he's a great actor.
Yeah, phenomenal.
You've seen.
I know.
Thank you so much.
I
It's
mean,
really
and
nice
he
of you to
worked
say
with.
that.
You played alongside James Gandolfini.
Gandolfini.
I don't want to say it
Jimmy
wrong.
Gandolfini. Yes.
Gandolfini.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was a good friend of yours, right?
Yes, he was.
And there it
Yes.
is. There's a picture
Awesome.
of you and him
Awesome.
up there, and he was a great character. He was James.
Oh, he was a wonderful actor. I mean,
You know.
James went to California. We did Streetcar Named Desire in Europe.
Yep.
And he played, I played Stanley, he played Mitch, and we toured Scandinavia, if you can believe it, for 3
Wow.
months. We were in Lillehammer
Wow.
where Stevie Van
That's
Zandt
awesome.
did his thing, Lillehammer.
So you lived you
So we lived that.
the rock star acting
Well,
world.
I mean,
it
wasn't so much of a rock star thing. We had
No,
a
I mean
portable
rock
set.
star acting. I'm phasing it into my
Yeah.
world of music.
Eventually, we hooked up again, and he asked me if I wanted to be on the show or to audition. A friend of mine went up to him at a party and said, I know a friend of yours, Bobby. Some people call me Bobby. Bobby Funaro. He's working at Caroline's Comedy Club, managing, and James remembered that. He took his driver, Joe Fay, and Joe went around the city to find he didn't remember the right comedy club. He went to 2 or 3 comedy clubs before he landed on Caroline's, which I was managing at the time.
Wow.
And that's where he spotted you?
And that's where he came down to
Wow.
retrieve me, to
But
ask me to audition.
Wow. But did he see you acting?
No, we had
Wow.
seen each other, and he came back from California, and I think I saw him maybe 2 times after the play. Me and another actor in the play, we got together to have a dinner, Johnny Barone, and then I saw him hanging out with the people from Caroline's at Rudy's. It's a Hell's Kitchen bar. A lot of the actors go there afterwards, after the theater and stuff like that, hang out. A lot of social networking and it's going on. Not social networking. That would be like, socializing and networking, socializing in a live with a live audience.
Yeah.
So I met him there, and then of course my friend went up to him. I think the 3rd year of Sopranos when it was really successful. Just before at a party, he'd gone to a party and he went up to him and he had the cojones to do that,
Sure,
and God bless him. Gordy Silva, I owe him a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. See, so it was fate that got you on
Yeah,
the first.
well, yeah, I mean,
know?
I had always gone in and out of doing acting and stuff like that, and I was always in the entertainment field before that. It was Madison Square Garden. I was an event manager there, so I always kind of kept my feet in. But I had a family, so I needed to make money.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I had to make some money, so I had to take these other jobs and still had the acting on the back burner, but I truly wasn't pursuing it. And James asked me, came in and said, "Have you been acting?" Of course. I said, "Yeah, I've been acting all the time. I walk in here and I act.
Yeah.
I'm acting all the time." I lied. Of course, you got to lie. You want to get so? He
Yeah.
said, "You said
You have
okay.
to hype
I can't
yourself up."
promise you anything, but you know, go ahead. I'll give you the
Wow.
audition." And I got a part. I landed a role.
So he
And from then on, I've
Wow.
been working professionally.
so he got you in, but
He was my godfather. He was my agent. He was my rabbi. A
Wow.
real mensch. Wonderful man, generous man.
And he became the star of the
Soprano of the whole
Soprano.
country, of the whole
Right.
world.
I mean, he
Yeah.
was that.
Wow.
He was you.
Yeah, I mean, besides doing the films that he did, you know, besides that, True Romance and
Wow.
the other films he did, and Broadway, of course.
Did you? How'd you feel about doing the role? You know, the first role in The Sopranos. Like, how did it?
It was terrifying.
Terrifying, right? Yeah. So how'd you get
Well,
over
you know,
it?
it was my it was my first. It was my first real professional job. I mean, I didn't even know what a mark was. I did no research when it came to that. I just figured, like, I'm going to go and do this and everything. I kind of threw myself in it. Like my uncle Nicky, I think he had a house in Newburgh, New York, and they had a built-in pool. You know, it was a communal house, you know, buildings, and it was like they had a square, there was a pool. He kind of like threw me in and said, "No, swim now." You know?
Oh God.
And you'll learn how to
Yeah.
swim, and it was the same sort
But
of
you
thing.
never
That's
knew
what
the
he did.
dynamic. You didn't think it was going to be that.
Challenging, no. I never-
No, not only that, but did you think it was going to be that much of a successful show at the time?
Yes, because it was a hit for 2. It was a hit for 2 years.
Right, that's true
His
too.
third year, it was a real
man.
big hit. So
Yeah.
when I came in, it was really in full
Oh, was
gear.
it right? That's right.
The
yeah.
first 3 episodes, they didn't really know, and then people caught on to it, and they just loved it. I liked seeing someone who had everything, yet he had to make everybody around him, because he was miserable, he had to make everybody else around him miserable. That was Tony Soprano. you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But it was
His mom-
it was natural though. It was almost like a reality show, but it was, you know, it was a, you know what I mean? Like it
well,
was-
that was David Chase. You know, he had a lot of, you know.
he made it like reality almost.
He had a lot of experience in terms of show running, Northern Exposure. He had done some TV work before, but this was his. He grew up in Jersey, so this was on the back
Yeah.
burner. And once he was able to get it together, and HBO provided
Yeah.
that, they were the
Well, you
first
know-
ones to produce. Like Sopranos was the prototype to all these shows that you see now, Kaminsky Method, all those shows and on Showtime, Ray Donovan.
Yeah, that was a
But Sopranos was the first. It was the first of its kind, and HBO was smart enough to start producing. Now everyone's producing. IMDb is producing.
Yeah,
Netflix is producing.
they're all
That's where
producing
I guess all the money is and everything. And I guess all the good content. I wouldn't say so much form, because films are form plus content. But I would say that in terms of taking chances, network TV, there's a big difference between network TV and cable TV.
Right.
HBO, Showtime.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So when did you realize like you were a great actor, like that you could really act? Did it ever hit you like, wow,
well,
I could
you know,
really act? or-
I always felt
When-
I had it inside me, but I really didn't
Yeah.
know. I mean, after the first season, David Chasey came up to me and said, "Well, what are you going to do after this season?" I said, "I hope to continue with this character," and he did. I did continue with the character.
How
But
many
it wasn't, you know,
episodes
I
did you
did
do?
like 27, 28
Wow.
episodes.
Okay, not
The
bad.
thing-
That's
yeah.
good.
Wow.
But the thing was,
I know
and then
that.
sometimes there were some bigger parts, and
Yeah.
other parts being with
See,
the guys.
that's what people don't realize. You have to fit into the part of the story of the episode.
Yeah, unless you're cast as one of the
It's
protagonists.
not that they don't want you in it. You got to
Yeah.
fit, you know, right? into
My
your-
thing was more or less a drip, and then it became this big pool,
Wow.
and then it just overflew,
Just
which is a great way
amazing.
to.
So you're
It's a great way to start. I had kind of like had my apprenticeship on The Sopranos. Believe it or not, it was like an apprenticeship for me. Now, you know, of course, you know, I know a little bit, a few more things, so I'm not as.
But you're
intimidating.
very
It's intimidating when when you need to audition. You initially auditioned for Georgianne Walken, Chris Walken's wife, and Sheila Jaffe, who wasn't there. She was taking care of the LA office, so was Georgianne, because she was doing the show, the New York casting. In the New York casting, I think Sheila was doing the LA casting, and And then you had to go to Silver Cup Studio.
Wow.
And you had, David had the whole, he's into the plurality of things. He would have the set dresser, he had the cameraman there, he had the costume people there, and they would audition you also. They were just like, it was like the Inquisition.
Wow.
And I mean, I said a lot of prayers, man.
Yeah.
I said, God, please,
Well, we're gonna-
please get me this role.
Yeah.
And it was my family that really helped me out too.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
they helped
We're
me,
gonna
gave me the courage.
we're gonna
to
see
go.
one of the
okay.
episodes of
Okay.
The Sopranos
Sure.
with James and Tiffany. When Kenny's ready, just let us know.
This is Tone. I got you something. For you, calm the kids. David Yurman watches. 18-karat gold, diamond center.
Why do I get the feeling there's a jeweler somewhere filing an insurance claim today?
Actually, that ain't what it is. My Aunt Edie died.
No. Now, wouldn't I move to California back in the 60s?
She's a great lady. Only person in my life ever made me feel special.
What are you gonna do?
Anyway, Silver Cloud, she did pretty well. She was married to Victor Borger's agent.
She left me an inheritance, Stone.
Just over $2 million.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Make sure you invest it.
Yeah, well, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. Dan and me and the kids, you know how much we love Florida, right?
What, do you want to put some money on the street down there?
I was thinking about buying a place in Fort Myers. Retiring there, actually.
Retiring? What are you, a hockey player?
I'm gonna be 50 in 3 years, Tone. My dad died at 52.
You took an oath, Gene. There's no retiring from this.
Well, I thought about that. And there was Joe Bananas.
Come on. Huh? What about your sports book, your other responsibilities? What am I supposed to do about those?
Benny,
We know Bobby wants it.
we go back a long way, Tone.
Yeah, we do. Fucking CYO basketball. You believe that?
It'd mean a lot to me and Deanne.
Well, let me think about it.
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
What a chemistry you've had too.
I know.
You had a great, you know.
Yeah,
That's,
it's tough
very
to watch
important.
yourself. It's just
I know.
tough to watch
Or
yourself.
you're like you're a perfectionist. So when you see something, you say, "Oh, I could have did right." You're like,
Well, you know, I mean, that was then. You know, that was the character. I had a
Yeah.
very good friend, and he used
But
to
if you
say
knew-
me, he'd say to me, "Yeah, you watch yourself." And he was his name was Richard Bright, and he was Al Neri in The Godfather. He was kind of like my mentor. He would say, "You know, I know you want to go back and do that, but you just got to just accept it that was your character,
yeah.
Yeah.
and just accept it and move on. Because if you think about it, you really
Yeah.
go backwards. You just got to keep continuing.
Well,
to
listen,
work,
the
you know?
audience.
No, you did
the-
so good. That was awesome.
The audience felt comfortable with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the most important. A lot of
Yeah.
that's what it happens with even musicians and singers. They're like, "Oh, wasn't my best performance." Meanwhile, they had a standing ovation. It's not exact.
Yeah.
You don't perfect doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's, you know.
Sure, I agree.
They want you to be a little offbeat, like you
Yeah.
know, a little crazy.
No, it's just you're self-conscious. That's the thing you get when you
Yeah,
see
I
yourself
know.
and
Oh, of
everything.
course, yeah.
I had to get used to that. Like, I don't really watch myself a lot on
Yeah.
on television.
No, I could tell you, you're like a
on film and
perfectionist.
TV.
Yeah.
It's not to be. It's question of. It's just that. It's just the
Right.
thing.
It's a different. You
you
still
get
feel
the
that
thrill.
way?
You get the thrill.
Yeah, no, I know.
When you're doing
Tell me
it,
something.
you get the heat and the thrill when you're doing it. Or when you're in the theater, you get that one-on-one with the audience, and when you're filming, you get the one-on-one with the people around you, the cameraman, and you know that you got it. But that's the thrill. That's the game right there, and you're playing the game there. But when you're watching it, it's
yeah.
not as thrilling.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's kind of it's less thrilling because you're watching. You're not when you're doing it, but you're watching it. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird to explain, but that's what. That's
Yeah,
what
no, I know. What do you think, Miranda?
No, I think that's true. Because like you feed off of the people who you work with, kind of like you're just
Yeah.
like back and forth, you know, like it's like exciting. But I feel like sometimes certain productions, they make things look better too. Like when you're on set, like you're doing something, and you're like, how's this gonna turn out? Like, you know.
Well, that's
but
the
then
director, right? That's what the.
when everybody edits it and puts it together, it's
Yeah.
like, wow, that looks like amazing.
Yeah,
like
they
it,
know how to curve it,
comes
yeah.
out like perfect.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, that's very true. It
Yeah.
does. It does. But what I'm trying to say is, while you're doing the action of doing it, it's just nothing like it. It's just
yeah,
not
it's
the same as
exciting.
watching it when you're doing it. I mean, it's great that you have it, and that's what the great thing about film and TV is, because when you get to that place where you really don't care anymore, when you just say, okay, I'm just going to do this with my gut and what I
Yeah.
feel inside, there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? That feeling, and of course, and then watching it becomes a bit more thrilling. You know, so it's all a growth,
Yeah.
learning curve.
Well, there's a lot of actors
Yeah.
out there that
It's a learning curve.
that really don't know the direction they want to go in, like, you know, whether it's comedy or what do you say to that, like, you know, people that, you know.
What do you mean,
Like actors,
Well, comedy
like-
is comedy same as serious.
No, but I'm saying you play a serious role. You could play. I could see you in comedy.
Yeah, I've done some
Type role,
comedic films.
you
One
know.
of those, one of them was Broadway's Finest. It's
Broadway's
on, I think it's on Prime.
Maybe we'll play that next. Not yet, but we'll play that next. Maybe a little.
But
bit. That
yeah,
was a cop. Was the cop?
Yeah, I played a policeman. Yeah,
The Broadway's
Crazy.
Finest. Maybe next year. So
yeah.
Wow, that's
But I've
cool.
done some
that's
comedy.
something, right?
Comedy's not really comedy. It's just serious.
Yeah.
You know, you're convicted to do what you do, and it's funny.
Yeah.
You know, but if you look at it like to be funny, it's never going to be funny. you know.
Yeah. But it's definitely when you're acting, your supporting cast and stuff is so important, you know. Because look, when you see Jackie Gleason with Audrey Meadows, she's great. You see him with another housewife, he doesn't have the timing. There's no timing there. Look at the Three Stooges. Without the bald, was it Curly? What's his name?
Yeah.
The bald-headed guy. He's out of it.
I always felt that too.
Never. I don't care how good of an episode it is. The funniness of it, the writing don't matter.
Well, you're only really as good as the person opposite you.
Yeah.
So that person's so important. You can't be
Missing
doing
link.
it by yourself. That's the thing with the Zoom stuff. I mean, listen, it's what we had during the COVID crisis.
Yeah,
But it's not the same
no, it's not
as
the same.
having someone across from you. Because when you have someone across from you, it does something to you. It gives you a
And
thrill.
nobody, I don't care,
It
you know,
does.
as I understand to teach, you could go to class for learning to act, but there's certain things you just can't teach,
I agree with that.
you know?
Yeah, I think
You know
so.
what you can learn, though, is how to do the prompter and
Yeah,
and that part. But as far as acting, like when we did things in the B studio,
Yeah.
we did like improv with this girl Angela, and she wrote out a script, and I said, first time I ever did it, and she goes, oh, Fred, just follow, just act, spontaneous, and I just went that way with her, and I was like, wow, this really came good, But if you try to make it perfect, you know what I mean.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah, you can't overthink it too much, I feel.
Right, what do you think? I mean, on that. I mean, you're the great actor. I'm just.
What?
I'm,
No, I think
I mean,
that
you made
that
it. You
it's
made it
always
big
been
in
there's
acting,
there's always been a. I mean, the great directors work with. They're such good directors like John Cassavetes and Martin Scorsese. They've always had a level of amateur people that are amateurs that are not truly actors. Marty used his mom and dad in many of his films. They're not professional actors. In film, you can do this.
Yeah.
Maybe not in theater so much, but in film you can, as long as the person feels relaxed and feels comfortable, which his parents did. In the beginning, some of the early films maybe not as comfortable as the latter films, like his dad in Goodfellas. He was great. When he says that, we had it, when he tells De Niro, Jimmy Burke, he says he's gone. He couldn't do nothing about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's always this thing with the amateurs and everything. So you, as a person, could get a very, I mean, and it was always, sometimes the amateurs beat out the actors in some of the
Really?
scenes. They're even better than the actors.
Because they
well,
laid
it's not
into
that
it.
they're professional actors. They
Yeah.
don't really probably do as many
Right.
roles.
Right.
But when they do work with those directors, they come off very well because they listen
Right.
and they feel relaxed and
Pl-
they do it. They have that element, that
Yeah.
talent inside them.
And you don't want them
So-
to change. You don't want them. You don't want to teach them how to act if what they're
Right.
doing is right the way it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Like when
That's
you
why
know,
you hired him. Fellini was like that, the great Italian director.
There you
A
go.
lot of
That's
the
what I'm-
Italian directors, when they did Bicycle Thief, he actually cast that role. I was just reading or listening to him. He cast that role. He did a big casting call, and he even the father, he was taken from a large cattle call, and he went on to do a few of his films because he had this quality that he just had a instinctual quality that he was going to work. I don't know his name or the young boy's name,
Right.
but if you watch those films, those are amateurs, but they listened well. They felt comfortable with
the-
Federico, and he was able to get great things from him.
Yeah.
It's just the same
Yeah.
thing goes for John Cassavetes, who worked with a lot of amateurs, and he worked with professionals too. And he talks about that dichotomy between them.
So how was it like? Oh, so the last thing you did. I'm sorry. The last thing you did was the Irishman, right?
Yes.
You had that part with De Niro.
Yes.
Can we
Johnny.
have that role? Could we get
played
to that?
Johnny, yes.
The Irishman.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I want to show it because that was great. I mean,
Yeah, well, you'll
you
see.
acted with a legend, right?
With yes, Robert De
Niro.
Niro. Yeah. There it is.
Did it come out? All right.
There's a picture?
She'll get it. No, yeah, that was the picture. He's going to get the video.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
that's the
video,
picture
okay.
of it. Do you have the video? When you get a chance, let me know. Just roll it in. But yeah, so how was it with acting with De Niro?
It was a great. I felt it was a wonderful experience working with Robert De Niro. First of all, because he was my hero growing up.
Yeah.
Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, all those films.
The younger.
And finally to get to act with him, and even if it's a scene, you feel like. When I left that set, I felt like, wow, man, I really, truly have come a long way. And, James used to tell me, like, you just don't be intimidated by anyone.
No.
And I brought that in there. I wasn't intimidated. But at the same time, you feel good about yourself because you work with a genius actor,
Yeah.
an Academy Award-winning actor, and you were there.
Right.
Not to even though a lot of people have worked with him, not only it really comes to a handful if you think about it in a worldwide thing, on a big scale.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience to work with him. Of course, I knew some of his people that he did films with. My mentor, Richard Bright, knew him from Once Upon a Time in America, Sergio Leone. He played Chicken Joe in that film, and they were friends. Also, Richard, who was in The Godfather, met Robert when he was
Right.
playing Al Neri in The Godfather. I'm sure they crossed paths when he was doing The Godfather.
Yeah. The
So, I mean, and then, of course, Ratonya Alda, who was Richard's ex-wife,
Okay.
she was in The Deer Hunter. And that was one of his greatest roles when
The Deer
in The
Hunter,
Deer
yeah.
Hunter. I mean, that Vietnam
Yeah.
quintessential Michael Cimino.
Wow.
That was a great. You ever seen that?
No, I haven't
You
seen
have to
it.
see that
That's
film.
why you would be
Deer
a great
Hunter.
director because you
Oh,
pick.
no.
No, but I'm saying the way he describes the scenes and how it.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? That's what you have to pick apart whatever scene it is or whatever you're gonna like you're gonna make a scene. You got to have it. You got to have a good imagination. That's
Well,
for sure.
it's a good scene like the take that we did on The Irishman. You get with a great director like Martin Scorsese. He said, okay, now that we've done it a few times, I want you to do just yourself. You could improvise a little bit like you did,
Yeah.
and just let it just go ahead and do whatever you want to do. And
Yeah.
that's the take
Yeah, he's
that he
great.
used. He used the take that some of that was my dialogue that I came up with. Some things that wasn't Steve Zalian, but of course I don't get the notoriety that Steve Zalian does.
Do we
Yeah.
have that role in, Ken? The Irishman? No?
Okay.
All right. All right, but what about Broadway's Finest? You got that? You played a cop in that, right?
Broadway's Finest was a comedy.
Yeah, comedy.
Directed by Stephen Marrow.
Oh, there you go. That's totally different.
Yeah, that's comedy, right?
Yes, Miranda,
So-
that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have that one? All right.
I told your sister, Will, you should have been a cop.
Yeah, I know.
Is this how these things are written?
The good ones?
Hey, Buckby, maybe we ought to write one. If you could do it, Willie, I can too.
Here you go. Sign here.
What's this?
It's a release in case you get shot.
You guys have any good cop stories?
Last week we had a jumper.
Jumper?
Yeah, attempted suicide. This guy, what was his name?
Antoine.
He just can't seem to get it right.
Antoine was the most excitement we had this year.
Don't you watch the news? The crime rate is down.
We've seen more action at a hockey game.
Come on. No napping. Up.
How about that for drama?
How do you arrest a drug dealer?
You know, I don't know how to arrest a drug dealer.
Hey, wake up. You're gonna get your wish.
We just got a call. Possible homicide.
We're going in.
We don't want to disturb the evidence.
Just don't touch anything.
Be quiet.
She dead?
You're right. She's dead.
She's still warm.
Almost dead.
You know she's damn good looking. I hate to pass this one up. Cover me.
What are you doing? You can't do that. What you do these guys? He's gonna do it. What the fuck are you doing? Okay, I'm out of here. I'm leaving right now. No.
You said you wanted to see some action.
No, we just want to go. We just want to go. We're not gonna say anything. Just let us get out of here.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, Mama Coco. Ah, Latinata.
Boston, come on, man.
Ah, that performance always improves when you don't have to worry about the reviews. Oh, babe. Ah. I'll put some light back into her.
That's sick.
Hello.
That's great.
That is hysterical.
Wow.
That was funny.
I was about
Yeah.
to say this is a comedy, and then it turned around. I was like, oh, I see where they're going. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Comedy. So when was that?
That was probably 2002, probably 2000, 2002, 2001,
Yeah.
2002. That was Steve Marrow was the director, a very good commercial director, and he decided to do this film, Broadway's Finest. It's about a
Broadway's
bunch of actors who really can't get parts, so they decide to write their own story. And it was it was really a wonderful film, and Steve did a great job. And I think that I wish it was 10 years prior to that, because I think that it could have went over a lot bigger. Actors trying to write their own story. It was kind of, maybe it was too familiar to people, actors, their plight and everything. But back, if it was maybe 10 years prior, but Steve, he was a great director and a really good.
So it was
good
a
friend.
sitcom or it was a?
It was a film. It was a,
Oh, it was a
film, and it's
film.
on. I think it's on Amazon.
Amazon?
Or
Okay.
either Amazon, Netflix, or Prime, or on Netflix. It's still you can still rent it.
Cool.
Awesome.
It's a very good film.
I gotta see it.
Yeah.
I like your laugh, your where you do like your big laugh. I love that.
Thank you.
So good.
Yeah.
And you were on.
Being Italian, it's easy to laugh. You know.
Yeah. What was the
gotta
American
laugh.
Gangster? That was another.
American Gangster.
That's a
Yeah, that
huge
was
movie.
Ridley
That-
Scott.
Yeah.
My dad had passed away, and just
Sorry.
before, thank you, just before he passed away, I'd gone, and I think he had something to do with getting that role. So I did. I landed the role of McCann.
McCann.
See, it didn't have a vowel in the last name either. So I've been castable in non-Italian roles too.
Wow.
You hear that, people out there?
Yeah. So you got to yeah.
Yeah. So he was Josh Brolin's. He played a special investigations
Right.
unit detective back then when Popeye Doyle and not Popeye Doyle. Serpico. And those
Serpico,
guys, they were
yeah.
kind of crooked. They were on the take, He was one on the tape with Josh Brolin, opposite Josh, which was a trip. It was a great experience to work with Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I think I could tell a little story about the first day on set. They called me in. I wasn't in the scene, but Ridley Scott wanted me to be in the scene with Josh. So we walk into Richie Roberts, who was played by Russell Crowe, his detective office, and of course Josh is the big detective and the captain of of us and my partner, and he kind of threatens Richie Roberts, tells him, if you're going to be doing all this stuff here with the drugs and everything, you got to give us some money. He tries to shake him down, but to no avail, of course, because Russell Crowe she doesn't do it. But I remember we rehearsed, and I went up to, and in the rehearsal, I stood outside the office, and then Brolin went in to see Richie Roberts, Russell Crowe, and they were like, it was, just both of them together. So I said to Ridley, I said, well, after one of the takes, don't you think I would, perhaps this was my first day, I think I would be with, Josh, because these guys, they stick together, and Ridley said very dryly, no, I don't think so. And I said, you know what? You're right. If I want to do this job, continue to be his partner, I'm not going to give him any trouble. So, and I worked about a couple of months, about a good month and a half on that film. And I met Russell Crowe.
You exited that quick,
yes.
right?
So these are the little things you learn as you go along. But I did meet Russell Crowe that day, which was great too. Because that was just I think that might have been his first film after Gladiator. I'm not sure, but that was wonderful to meet him also. So there's some great things in acting that you can do. You meet people who make a difference. Because what's acting about? It's trying to make a difference. It's trying to make the world see how we live and question how we live. It's the ancient Greek question: how are we going to live? Let's look at ourselves honestly and try not to make the same. Try not to make the same mistakes. That's what acting's about. Like I go out for a lot of auditions. They're like wise guys and stuff like that, but that's really not what a lot of actors are about. A lot of actors want to get a chance. Some are very fortunate. They get a chance to say something special. But the other things, it all adds up and it all drips into a big pool of honesty and truth. And at the end of the day, we flow upriver and we try to get like salmon. And we're all doing that one way or the other. Like we're spawning more actors like Miranda. She get inspired, and she could be, always be nice to people because they say on the way up, it could be on the way down.
She's been floating around.
But you know what I mean? That's what it's really about. Not really about. So many people, actors are concerned. I got to get this part. I got to get this part. No, you don't got to get the part. You're going to show them what you can do. Not get the part. Just show them what you can do. That's what you want to do. Just show them what you can do best. But not. Because if you want to get the part, you're never going to get the part. Or you can do what Chaz Palminteri did.
Natural, right?
Yeah, Chaz Palminteri, he wrote his own story, and that became a new thing too. To write your own story, like Sylvester Stallone, and those are good things. If you're a writer, that's not my forte, but you got to know what you're good at also,
But you could, if somebody comes up to you with an idea for a script and stuff. You could see where it's going.
I can help shape it. Yes, I can help shape it.
There's not. That's an art itself because a lot of people can't do that. You give them a script and they're thinking of it a totally different than really
the average actor takes a script and says, okay, how many lines do I have here? And that's not what it's about. The lines. It's what you're doing, and how
what the writer's trying to bring out, right? What the writer's trying to.
It's an ensemble. Some people have larger roles, but it's not about what you do. It's focusing on dancing your best dance for yourself, not for others. It's looking at how many lines he has, is looking to see, well, how can I impress people? Well, you're on the wrong track. By doing the other line, the one line right, you're going to get more lines. They're going to give you more lines because you're not focused on being doing the,
they want to see that you can.
They're going to give you more stuff to do because you're not so focused on being great. It's not about being great. It's about being yourself and being honest.
Yeah, it's true.
We all get into dilemmas, and that's drama. That's what drama's about, and comedy also.
Because sometimes even if you don't get a role, they'll remember you for something else. Like they'll be like, oh, you know, that person was really good for something else. Maybe not for this,
Yes.
but for something
I
else. So
agree.
as long as you're just yourself and you don't overthink it, and it's important to like read the whole script, like understand your character and like what's going on. You know, not just how you said like, oh, how many I have these lines and then that's it. you
I
know?
went in for Law and Order at least 5 or 6 times before I landed the first role in Law and Order with Jerry Orbach. But I went 5 or 6 times. So something they liked about me. It wasn't, you can't take things personal.
Yeah.
But
Right,
of
they
course,
can't.
when you get into your career a little bit more, you kind of say, how could they not have cast me? But it's really the same.
Yeah.
It's really the same principle too. A director sees a certain person in that role.
We got to realize
The acting is really good, but yet he doesn't see you in that role.
right, and the director's
exactly.
concentrating on the whole picture, and if you don't fit in that picture, it's like you know what I'm saying? Oh, it's like drawing you know,
Yes.
colors like red, blue.
That's the palette.
Now all of a
Those
sudden you put
paints.
color in. Now that don't take that out. Not that you're not. You could be the greatest actor in the world, but you
can.
don't fit into that.
Yeah.
that part.
Into the tapestry.
But,
Yeah.
but like you said, there'll be a time where you comes around with it. There's a part that is for you, and a good director will say, "Wait a minute, that's the guy that he didn't fit into that role."
Exactly,
But
but he
he'll
fits
be
into
great
this
in
one.
this.
Brad, we talk about that. We're talking about this because a lot of times, it really is in acting, at least in entertainment. I don't know if it probably it's relative to music also, and to many of the arts, is staying in the game, and getting to the card table, whatever you want, whatever metaphor you want to use, being in the game, showing up. Is really half the battle. Continue to show up, because one of those times you show up, someone's going to say, "Wow," and that's all it takes.
Well, that's funny.
And
you
sometimes
said
it takes a whole lifetime for that to happen. Some people's careers started on the latter end of their lives, but they did. Morgan Freeman is a perfect example. He started a little bit later on in his career.
Yeah.
So, I think that it's a very tough thing. We all do what we have to do. When you're an actor, you have you juggle many jobs to keep going. But in the end, if you truly want to do it, if it's in your heart, do you know what I mean? I was very fortunate that I had James came down to Caroline's to.
So it's
I was fortunate in that way, but I guess maybe the forces of nature and God or whatever.
Well, you put yourself in position.
Doing the streetcar prior to that.
If you didn't do that gig at Caroline's,
right,
you never could be there.
If I didn't do Streetcar Named Desire in Europe with James, and try to keep an open relationship. So.
It's like we did an audition in the city, right? We were opening up. We were going to back up, push in the bush, push, remember that? No, but listen to this. So the guys out there, the agent, the manager booking the gig, it was a huge gig. And he goes, so they didn't show up. So I said, my brother Drew goes, what are you going to do, Fred? I said, I'm going to go up to him and tell him to book us. Forget about push in the bush. We could do the same thing. Right. But no, so anyway, I went up to him. I says, "Listen, they had a lot of people, and I says, if I could get this dance floor packed for 20 minutes and keep them on the floor, would you hire us?" 100%. He said, "Okay." Boom. Turn the lights. Bam. I had the dance floor packed. But besides bottom fed them with the slow, the fast, the blah blah blah, ram them. And he goes, "Wow, that's great. When could you come to Hawaii?" I said, "Should I come to Hawaii?"
Wow.
We were in Hawaii for 2 months. I was swimming.
God.
That's being in the game.
Yeah.
That's going to the game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to the game. But I'm just saying, like what you're saying, just being there and showing up, like you were in Caroline's. We were.
I can tell you that having humility is so important. It's true. Having humility is so important in acting and anything. If your agent calls you up and says, "I have one line for you in a new TV series, in a pilot," oh no, I'm not going to be doing the one line. No way, I'm on Sopranos,
right.
man. I was Eugene on Sopranos. I hung myself. I I did all this stuff. I had a whole episode about me. No, I went in for that role for the one line. It turned out that Amber Tamberlin it was called The Unusuals, and Jeremy Renner from Hurt Locker. Remember Hurt Locker? The lead actor in Hurt Locker. He was in the series. So I got to meet him and to work with some great people. It didn't make it, but because I had the humility to go in for the one line, they kept me around. They started expanding my role.
There you go.
But I did 2 or 3
And that's
episodes.
it,
They
right?
played in Europe. It didn't make it, but that's what I'm talking about also.
Yeah.
Having humility to not to turn down things, because you never know what happens. A lot of people on Sopranos, like Dre DiMatteo, she had one line. David liked it. David liked it, so let's keep her around.
Yeah.
Also, Dan Grimaldi, who was playing a role that he was going to die. David liked him so much they made him have a twin brother. They gave him a twin brother. They made him a twin brother. So Patsy Parisi had a twin brother. I forgot the other Parisi died. They made it. So you just need to show. You really need to
show up.
To stay in the game.
Show up.
So for all the
Show up,
showbiz
everybody.
people and the actors, yes,
If you
it's
can,
so
right?
important to stay to last. It's like a marathon, and sometimes the last 300. And I think it's the last. How many more yards in the marathon? It's 320
Everybody
miles.
says we need a big break.
365 yards.
We need a big break, but yet they're home watching
Sometimes on the
TV. They're watching.
365th yard, you get what you want. And
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
And then nobody's making fun of you anymore. Oh, what are you doing?
What are you doing now?
Yeah, well, you're an actor. You're
yeah.
waiting tables.
Miranda
says
gets
that.
You're an
abused
actor.
all
You're
the time.
working
with
at a
that.
paint store.
Well, I wouldn't say abused, but
No,
I've
I
heard,
mean,
I've heard a
do.
lot of
People
that.
say
like,
things like that too. What do they say,
Well, it is
Miranda?
abuse in a way.
They do.
because-
Yeah, a lot of people just don't believe that you're gonna get anywhere or do anything, and then they're like, oh, you're doing this or you're doing that. Like, oh, okay, well, maybe you should think about, something else.
But
Or
meanwhile, she graduated,
I'm like, well, yeah, I do have
high
a.
honors in college with psychiatry. She's a psychiatrist. She could
I do.
She could pick our brain and maybe
Yeah, I do psychology
figure out what.
and counseling.
There's a lot of people like that. A lot of those people, their dreams never really materialized, and they get off or whatever on people who are trying to realize their dreams. There's nothing. A dream is like that Sting song, Fragile.
Yeah, I love that. You sent me that. Do you know I came up with a lick
That's
on
like
a piano
dream.
through that?
So fragile. Then
I,
it's like a glass menagerie.
I came up with an
Did you?
idea for, well, not an idea. I said, wow, this is, but it made me go into another sphere of feeling.
Right.
Not that the
sure.
same idea.
But that's what a dream is, and people don't. But the people, a lot of people, there's nothing. I mean,
Remember that, Jack?
one man's. I think Gandhi said this: one man's labor is no more important than another man's labor. That's very true. It's very true in many things. But this is what you're given, and you do the best you can with what you want to do in your dream. So people should be a little bit more sensitive to people like us when they do that. And then, of course, when you make it and everything, your phone's ringing 9 to 5. I can tell you from first-hand experience, people. I was very gracious. I didn't tell anyone, go, I hate your guts. You told me to get a real job, and now I do have a real
Maybe you
job,
should do
and you're
something
calling me up to congratulate me?
Exactly.
Are you nuts?
It's really though, if you think about it, you're always getting abuse. If you can't take abuse in this business, don't even go there.
Oh yeah, this.
Stay
business
home.
They say you need a tough skin. To
Watch
be a
Lassie
musician.
and go to sleep.
You need a tough skin to
It'll
be a
chew you
musician.
Yeah.
Especially, think about painters. I'm doing a play called Painting X's on the Moon by Richard Viteri. It's an abstract play, but it's really about a painter and an actress who made the wrong choices, and she tries to get this young painter to make the right choices because he's starving, he's broke, and her husband offers him like the world, like Satan offers Christ, like the temptation.
Wow.
And somehow she liberates him by sacrificing her life for him. And he's able to go on and paint. You don't see that at the end. But it's so true in our profession that there's so many ways you could be pulled sideways and everything,
It's like
So-
Sarah.
But a painter,
yeah.
they have it even worse because that era is gone, basically.
Yeah.
The era of painting,
Kind of.
think about it. Let's go see a painting art. There's a great painter. His name is Jackson Pollock. He's on 14th Street. I want you to see his exhibition.
Yeah.
No one talks about that. They
No.
talk about Big Ange from the reality TV show.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know,
no offense,
I did-
Big Ange. I like you
actually,
a lot.
I
You're
did
a
the
good
fir-
person. Yeah.
I did the first
She
show
passed
with
a-
her
she passed
down,
away like
down
5
in
years
Bay
ago.
Street.
God bless her. God bless her.
Yeah, I met her
She was a good
once on a
person,
show
yeah.
on a thing that I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she seemed nice, but yeah,
No, she has a lot.
that
She
show
had a
was
lot of
nuts.
energy.
Well, I'm just trying to make an analogy
know, and-
between painting but people
Yeah.
see actors in a different light.
Yeah, they do.
And musicians too. You got a good band, and now with everything with the internet, with live streaming, where it's a lot, you can produce a lot more on your own.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
I was in the era with, I mean, the second time around
Right.
with live, Chuck Berry come up with it, he'd be pulling his cord, and all of a sudden he just start playing something you played in grammar school.
Right, yeah.
And he started doing this.
That
and,
must have been
and
great.
the audience would go crazy, go nuts. That's all he
It
did
must
was
have been a
that
great
one
thing, a
dance.
great feeling to play with Chuck Berry. You did
Yeah, it
that,
was
man.
Chuck Berry. I
Wow.
says, what the? And he had this bass. He says, oh, he
Such
says,
a
Fred,
gigantic
follow the
man.
bass player. The bass player was on Ludes. He's telling me, now listen to this. I'm up on the stage, right?
Fred has the best stories.
I'm on the stage, and he goes, oh, follow the bass player. I said, all right, I'll follow him. Not even halfway through the song, I'm looking at him. I says, that's it. I had enough. The guy is looking up into the sky. He's playing like he's in slow motion at a time. I said, this is never going to work. I said, that's it. Me and Chuck just rounded him out. I was just jamming drums and him. That's it. And he was playing
That's
the
so
guitar.
cool.
That was it. The bass player, done. He was gone anyway. So, but we ended up playing for an hour and a half.
That's cool,
on
man.
stage.
That's cool.
And his agent, his manager, comes up. He says that's the longest he's ever been on stage, because usually he goes with his suitcase. Listen
Yeah.
to this.
I heard
He
about
comes in with his suitcase and he goes, "You're the drummer?" He goes, "All right." I said, "Where's the promoter?" "Oh, he's out somewhere." Oh. He says, "Bring him in." Didn't come in. Then he finally comes in. He goes, "Where's my money?" He goes, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, if you don't put the 25,000 in that suitcase in 10 minutes, I'm out of here." Told him. Meanwhile, he's got this girl on his shoulder. He picked her up on the side of the street. He was insane. Chuck Berry was in.
Wow.
I'm not saying anything bad. He was great talent, but he's a nut.
Yeah.
You can't train a wild musician from the 60s, 70s, 80s. You'll never do it.
Right.
That's what the way I am. You can't.
Yeah.
We play. Listen to this. I'll tell you another story. Funny. Just one. We went up
Yeah.
in the city, right? And this girl, she's just singing. So Drew came with the, Drew had, we had the guitar. I had to bring the drums up and everything. And the girl goes, I'm playing the drums, She goes, "Where's the Tiffany?" I says to her, I got up like this. I says, "Wait a minute." I says, after put my drums all the way up the stairs and all that, I says, "Now you want me to bring a symphony drum up?" I says, "Yeah." I says, "Here." I hit the floor. I says, "There's your Tiffany." I says, "Now give me my money." But anyway, we got to get back to you because
No, that's okay.
we're here
It's
with Rob
That's a great-
Funaro. I finally grasped his last name. I was called
Wonderful.
Ferrazzo, Funano,
Wonderful.
Babano. And then I says, no, Funaro.
Wonderful.
Funaro. But how many times I screw up a lot of
I
names and
know.
stuff. But
I do too. I walk into rooms and I
we
forget
weep,
what I'm
we
wearing,
cry,
what
we
I
never
went-
worry.
what
We're
I
only
go-
actors on the stage.
Huh?
We weep, we cry, we never worry. We're only actors on the stage. That was Gandhi.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go.
Because you said Gandhi. But
Yes.
that's only, see, you made it up.
Yes.
But
We-
anyway,
we cry, we're only
Rob
actors
is
on
a
stage.
real, not just an actor. He is like a genius when it comes to creating scene. No, but I'm serious. Like you got to see. It's like art. You can't just, if you're an artist, you're an artist, and that's what you are. You're an artist of
Well, thank
the
you.
acting world.
Well, we got to start
So,
doing.
but so I'm
producing-
just saying, what
we
you
need to
did
produce this,
already,
let
what
this
you
happen.
did already as acting was great. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
made it, but you went further by being,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll continue to be
Yeah.
continued.
Yeah.
Post-COVID and post-production.
So out of these, I
Yep.
got the Sinner,
Yes,
Charlie Mantle,
Jessica Biel, yes, that was a
or,
wonderful
or
series.
Dina,
Wow.
Deanna.
Deanna was my wife on Sopranos. And I had to convince her that staying in Jersey was the right thing, but she didn't
Do we
want
have
it.
that one? Yeah, we have Deanna, right?
Got the money, baby. $2 million.
It's not the same, Gene.
Yeah, there it is.
It could be better.
The sun is down there. We're ignoring the negatives. It's fucking brutal with the bugs. Tony and Silvio, all they understand is appearances. We'll buy a new car. It'll raise my profile. You watch, I'll make captain.
I found this under our son's bed.
Wow.
So what was that scene about?
That was Deanna when Tony said, actually, Tony said no, that I couldn't go to Florida. Silvio told me this, and I had to go back and convince Deanna that staying in Jersey was the only alternative for us to keep going. And she didn't want to hear it, and the walls are closing in on me slowly. And of course, my son was on drugs, it looked as heroin, and she found those syringes. And we had a really bad relationship. At the end of that scene, I asked him where he's going, and which really was ahead of its
Yeah.
time, because that was before like the whole epidemic with the OxyContin and the heroin
Yeah.
became. Like, that's David Chase was ahead of his time when it came to that. I know, because it was a personal thing that happened to me in my life with someone very close to me, and so that was one of the scenes that that led to my demise.
Wow.
There was a whole bunch of scenes. Another scene was that I was going to become an informant because Ray Curto was no longer being able to. He
How
died.
did you get that? You had that stressed, like almost crying look to you. Do you when you?
I was just.
How'd you get into that mood?
Well, it just it's just it's just to try to prepare for it.
So you see that you see.
They gave me eye drops.
Oh, you did? Oh, don't tell me that. You.
No, it's okay. I won't kid you.
Oh,
They give me eye drops.
There are some tricks,
Yeah,
yeah.
they do.
People
They do that.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that was real acting, guys. That was true
Awesome.
acting. Man.
Wow.
Awesome.
That was sad,
Yeah, that's the thing. You put the eye drops.
He's like, nah, Fred, they
And
just
there
gave me eye
goes
drops.
my career. The eye drops. It wasn't the acting. It was the eye drops.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Right?
That's funny.
Well,
yeah.
that happens a lot in acting. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just can't get the feeling, and what the director wants just to have
Yeah.
a certain feeling there, and it's just a second, so it works. But people can tell. People watch it can tell.
Yeah. But you,
So
but you got to put yourself. What I learned about it, and what other actors told me was that you got to put yourself into that
I think
into
that
into that story
Yeah.
and think
you
about
use
it.
yourself. You use yourself. It's always going to be you, but it's the actions that you take. It's not the emotion. It's the actions, because everything comes to action. What you want, what you need, what your intention is, and then everything springs forth from that. But there is an element of identifying with the person that gives you probably that emotion, that feeling. Some actors never took acting lessons, but they got that feeling. They had that instinctual thing that they're able to use themselves. But most times, It's you doing those things and making those choices. And when you make those choices, it's you, definitely you, but it's also becomes the character.
Yeah.
Right.
But you wouldn't necessarily do that. I wouldn't hang myself.
Yeah.
But, you know, Eugene does.
Right.
Eugene does because Tony won't let him out.
Wow. Yeah,
And he
and
can't
you
get
did
out.
look stressed. You did look
Yeah,
tremendously.
they
you
wanted
looked in that
stress.
mode of wow.
They wanted that stress. They wanted the walls to close in on
Wow.
them. You know.
So that was tough. That was.
And it was a great episode, which won an Emmy Award for
Yeah?
an
Wow,
episodic Emmy Award for.
Look at that.
That was great to be a part of that also.
Wow.
I did like that. When I watched it a couple of times. And,
That's pretty cool.
And I felt that about it. You know. I was like I felt. You know, when you could, that's the thing too, when you watch a movie, like, there's a lot of movies, like, right, you know, you watch them for a little bit and you're like, that's not, you know what I mean? They're not pouring themselves to that point where you could believe it. That's what, I guess is that what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
You gotta
sometimes
believe the part you play, you know?
Your experience marries the role. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard not to, it's like when a painter paints, he tells you to hold something. It may not be the real object you're holding, but he wants to see, like Michelangelo said that he would go he would pay the coroner or whatever where they kept the bodies, and they would open up the bodies and he would put his hands in the body.
Wow.
And to feel the organs. So when he painted, he would know what was inside.
Wow.
The inside of how the body would be formed. So in acting, your experience eventually, like in the beginning when you're acting, you do roles that you don't really truly understand, but then your experience makes you understand that role, and then they become the role and the experience come together, and then you lock and load, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lock and load, you know.
You gotta let it. You gotta go, right? Once you know.
Oh,
once
it's a great feeling to yeah. I mean,
You
it's
know?
just and it comes down to doing something that's true, that's meaningful and interesting. Because all good acting is true,
Yeah.
and all good drama is true, and all good comedy is true. It's meaningful. It's interesting. You recognize yourself. Marlon Brando, he once said that, on the waterfront. I could have been a contender speech. That speech itself, everyone, he said, another actor could have done it, and it could have been not maybe as great as him, but people would have identified with that scene and remembered it. How many people say to you, I could have been somebody. I could have been. It was you, Charlie.
Yeah.
I could have been.
Right.
Everyone feels that someone, in one way or another in their lives, made a decision that really screwed them up, and it probably did. You know, and then they didn't get a second chance. And Eugene doesn't get a second chance to do his life over. So people identify with Eugene because how many people want to get out of their situations, but they can't. They're locked in. Their bosses can't let them out, or their circumstances and their situations in life. They have children. They can't get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a very
emotional thing.
Yeah.
Very emotional. Yeah. So we're getting to
Got
the
a
end,
minute left.
Rob.
Okay.
So Rob Funaro, everybody. Miranda Panda, my co-host.
Hey, Miranda Panda.
Want to
Fred
thank
Coscia.
Rob. I'll tell you, everybody out there, who do you like, TV land? I had a love.
I love you, Fred Coscia.
Yeah.
You're a great person.
We love you guys.
Great heart.
Miranda, I love you.
God bless everyone. Stay safe. Wear your mask and take it off when you're vaccinated.
Vaccination.
Yes.
All right.
Hey guys.
We love you out there.
Love you. See you next time.